Welcome to episode 269 of the Ski Podcast, and thanks for joining us. I am your host, Iain Martin, and today is a special episode in which I'm joined by some of our great snow reporters from across the Alps and North America. We will be looking at snow conditions in Austria, Italy, France, Switzerland, and across the pond in Canada. Plus, I'll be revealing the results and the lucky winner from our 2025 listener survey. But before we hear from our reporters in the snow, I'd like to thank Tyrol in Austria for sponsoring the Ski Podcast and making this winter's episodes possible. Our listener survey has actually been really interesting because so many of you have said how much you've enjoyed these episodes about Tyrol. If this is your first time listening, you've already missed out on loads of great chat about Tyrol. We've discussed Innsbruck, Ischgl, Tyrol West, Sanjohan in Tyrol, the Ski Welt and Ski Ural areas. And next week, I'll be reporting on my trip to St Anton and Lech in the huge Arlberg ski area. You can catch up with all of these, and I recommend you do. It's been really interesting finding out more about the Tyrol and the Lebensgefühl, the Austrian way of life that connects them all together. Right, I mentioned our listener survey. I've now shared the results at theskipodcast.com, which you can have a look at. Essentially, it turns out that our listeners are extremely experienced skiers and snowboarders. 90% of you own your own boots, 70% of you own your own skis, 3/4 of you go out to snow more than twice a season. There was a load of feedback about the episodes we've done already. The Bladen Lines episode in particular was very popular. Lots of requests for more features about train travel. I mentioned lots of good feedback about Tyrol. You've also given me plenty of ideas for more features down the track, so thank you very much for that. Finally, I'm delighted to confirm that James Fletcher was the winner of the prize draw, and hopefully, James, you'll be getting all of your goodies just in time before Christmas. Right, a couple of bits of news for Team GB. I was really pleased to see that Zoe Atkin won the halfpipe at Copper Mountain in the States. And friend of the podcast and reigning Crystal Globe champion Jasmin Taylor took her first telemark win in Pinzolo this week. But the big story in ski racing is one you've probably heard already. Last week, Lindsey Vonn became the oldest skier in history at 41 years old to win a World Cup race when she won the downhill in St Moritz. Now, talking about older athletes coming back from injury, you may have noticed on social or on our WhatsApp channel that I've picked up my own injury. I was skiing in St Anton on my way down to a meeting. You'll actually hear that interview in episode 270. I was almost at the bottom, just 300 metres from the Gautzig-Bahn, on a blue run. There were no other skiers around. I wasn't trying to evade an obstacle, but I was skiing pretty fast and the snow was quite churny and heavy. So my assumption is a combination of the speed and the heavier snow, my ski just detached, I was thrown forward and I landed on my shoulder. And I pretty much knew straight away it was broken, but I managed to get my skis back on, get to the bottom, walk to the hotel. But it was pretty evident when I tried to move my arm around that, yeah, I needed to go see the doctor. And the bad news is I have a vertical fracture that has split the scapula, the shoulder blade in two. Initially, I was told I need surgery, but yesterday they told me and that they want to see if it will heal on its own. So, fingers crossed. I'd like to thank everyone who sent me messages. I'm not particularly in pain, but what's causing me pain is the racing, skiing, social events that I will be missing. It's quite difficult to type, so I've been using the dictate function a lot, but I can assure you I will keep doing the podcast, and next week you'll hear more positive news from my trip to St Anton and Lech. So, today, though, let's focus on the snow reports from around Europe and beyond. Regular listeners will recognise most of these voices. So let's start in St Anton, Austria, scene of my demise, with Andy Butterworth from Kaluma Travel, who, in fact, I'd just been having a magnificent lunch with just prior to my fall.
Hi everyone, it's Andy over in St Anton with our lack of snow report. I say lack of snow report because after a bumper start to the winter season at the end of November going into early December, where we were literally powder skiing, knee-deep powder, before the lifts even opened, we were hit with a bit of a dry spell. Dry spell from snow, but sadly not from rain. We had about 3 or 4 days of rain in early December, and then that was followed by quite a warm patch. So although it's been freezing temperatures at night, which has been the saving grace because it has kept the snow in pretty good condition, it's been pretty barren on the snowfall front, sadly. It hasn't snowed now for about 2.5 weeks. That said, at the top of the Veluga, the top of the Gautzig, top of Gampen, there is over about 90 centimetres of snow. I think it's about 94 centimetres of snow is the actual depth at the top of the Veluga. And the piste have been kept in really good condition thanks to all the amazing snowmaking facilities. days. So although it is a little bit barren off the piste, and the lower slopes definitely are a little greener than we'd like at this time of year, the skiing up the top is actually very, very nice, and the pistes have been kept in great nick. The long-term forecast isn't that great either. There's not much snow coming over Christmas. So we might just cling on to it being a white Christmas, but certainly from New Year, I think 1st of January, we're expecting like a 50 to 60 centimetre dump according to the long-term snow forecast. So fingers crossed that all comes. Anyway, wishing everybody a very happy Christmas, do some snow dances, and all the very best for the new year.
Let's jump across the ocean now to Canada. Some of the best, if not the best, snow conditions anywhere in the world right now are in the resorts around Banff. One of the ski podcast's great friends is Planet Ski's James Cove. If you listen to episode 261, you'll have heard all about his career in the ski industry. James is based near Banff in Canada for the next couple of months, so let's hear what conditions are like over there.
Sometimes I'm in the right place at the right time, and this is most definitely one of those moments. I'm currently heading up the gondola at Sunshine Village, and as I look out, the trees are simply dripping and in some cases buckling under the weight of the snow. Yesterday I skied Sunshine's legendary and fairly extreme Wild West area. In some winters the chutes don't even have enough snow to open, and a December opening of the terrain is very rare. This winter, they're packed with soft, deep and forgiving powder. And in the nearby resort of Lake Louise, snow records are being broken on a seemingly daily basis. Lake Louise itself has seen probably the best start to winter for about 75 years, with approaching 5 metres of snow that's fallen so far this winter. I went skiing with some locals earlier on, and they simply said it's the best start to winter that they can recall. This season, and don't forget we're just at the end of December, Sunshine has seen over 80% of the snow it received across the whole of last winter. And there's been daytime temperatures of about, -7 or so. Cold enough to keep the snow soft and grippy, but not so cold it's unpleasant. In short, the slopes in this part of Canada are pretty much perfect. Interestingly, the snow hasn't come in a few sort of huge dumps with everything closed and all the rest of it. Rather, there's just been sort of regular falls of 20 or 30 centimetres or so. Absolutely perfect. I'm delighted to report that Planet Ski's based here in Canada for the next couple of months, and we're visiting the nearby resorts of Fernie, Kicking Horse, Revelstoke and Marmot Basin, to name just a few. And the gondola itself is now just approaching the top station here in Sunshine, and all I can add before the lift doors open to paradise is that I just feel so privileged to be in the right place and at the right time. And that just leaves me to say to everyone, Happy New Year.
Back over to Europe now. Let's go to Italy. Rob Stone contacted me to say it was great to hear James and Sinead from Sousy Online in episode 267. He hopes an interview is to follow. Well, Rob, I'm pleased to say that will be coming up in February. But let's hear now how conditions are in the Via Lattea, the Milky Way area.
Hi, Iain.
Hi, Iain. Sinead and James here from Sousy Online, reporting to you from the Via Lattea in Italy. We're currently in just above Sportinia in Sousy, that's partway up the mountain, and I'm pleased to report it is currently snowing.
It is indeed, and it is due to snow all week thanks to a weather system coming in from the south, which certainly favours this area of the Alps. Some predictions have about 50 centimetres of snow. So if that does come to fruition, then it will be a very nice white Christmas indeed for us all.
Yes, the skiing in the area in Via Lattea is still limited. But hopefully in the next days with this fresh snow and with the cannons, we should see some more runs opening. Yeah, indeed. We've got the link across the Sestriere open currently, but that is only on the lift system. You can't actually ski in the Valloni. But as Sinead says, hopefully with this new snow coming, we should see an improvement next week. Cheers, Iain. Merry Christmas, Iain, and catch you soon.
Merry Christmas.
And over in the Dolomites, Tim Hudson from Inspired Italy sent us this report.
Buongiorno and ciao, Iain. This is Tim Hudson from Inspired Italy Dolomite Ski Safari, reporting from the Val Gardena here in the Italian Dolomites. I can tell you that around about 9 o'clock last night, I stood looking across the valley towards Seceda and its 2,500 metre summit, and in the darkness I could see rows of bright white lights cutting across the mountain like landing lights at an airport runway. This was the snow cannons quietly pumping out their most precious cargo, fresh snow. And that matters because it hasn't snowed naturally here for almost 3 weeks now. What they call programmed snow in the Italian Dolomites has come to the rescue again. But then comes the real story. You see, over the last week or so, we've skied right across the region from Val Gardena to Kronplatz, Alto Badia to Passo San Pellegrino, and right down to San Martino di Castrozza. And across all of that terrain, we only missed 3 runs due to poor snow coverage. Just 3 runs. The pistes are fantastically maintained, though a little firm in places, so sharp edges are definitely recommended. And here's the official Dolomites Superski picture right now. Around 870 slopes open, over 900 kilometres of skiing available. That's more than 80% of lifts are running, and the Sella is open in both directions. The Grande Guerra, try saying that after a Christmas tipple, route remains closed. The last snowfall was on December the 4th, and the next is forecast on Christmas Eve, December the 24th. And the temperatures are turning much colder. So despite the lack of natural snow, the Dolomites are skiing exceptionally well right now, which just leaves me to wish you a happy Christmas and a buon Natale.
Also in the Dolomites, James Webb, listener to the podcast, sent us in this report from Selva Val Gardena.
Hey Iain, it's James here, friend and listener of the Ski Podcast, reporting from Selva Gardena in the heart of the Dolomites. We've just wrapped up 4 brilliant days of skiing in what I can only say is a triumph of technology over the elements, thanks to their modern snowmaking capabilities in this area. So despite the last significant natural snowfall being way back on December the 5th, with just a little dusting since then, the conditions have been surprisingly good. We kicked off our trip in the Plagne de Grauba area beneath the stunning Sassalungo, where the pistes were in really good shape. Similar story over in Covara, Alta Badia, though perhaps 20% of some of those slopes weren't yet open, but there's still plenty to offer there that was. We'd also hoped to ski the Hidden Valley and head up to the Marmolada Glacier, but both of those were closed on the days we planned to go. However, the ski instructor I asked on a lift said that both would be open for Christmas skiers. Highlights, I'd say, for both snow and scenery were Secheda and Col Razor. Absolutely stunning, quieter slopes, basked in sunshine, very good snow conditions despite there being much grass and rock beside those pistes. We then schlepped over across Ortizay town, up and over into Cesar Alm, Alpes de Suzy, which offers a completely different feel, much more gentle, open, almost cross-country terrain with spectacular views. But the snow here was, I'd say, noticeably worse. Crunchy, patchy, and crying out for fresh snowfall. We're just 20 centimetres down on the lower slopes and 50 centimetres up top. It is amazing that conditions remain this good with minimal icy patches and none of that grainy feeling that you sometimes get with snow cannons. Forecast promises 6 centimetres, perhaps today, tomorrow. So that's Christmas Eve, which would, I'd say, be very welcome, although with temperatures down to -6. I'm sure the snow cannons can easily cope without it, as they have 90% of that area well covered.
Let's go over to Switzerland, where Dave Burrows from SnoPros Ski School sent us this report from Les Crozets in the Porte du Soleil.
Morning, Iain. Hope you and the listeners to the Ski Podcast are well. It's Dave from SnoPros Ski School, and today I am joining you from Les Crozets. Conditions here, let me see. I drove up to... The valley's looking a bit green. Got to be honest with you, I'm not going to give you the hype man job and tell you it's all wonderful. The valley's looking a bit green, but as you arrive here in the Crozets, which is one of the highest stations on the Porte du Soleil side, you arrive at the snow line. So actually, there's plenty of snow, and they're doing a really, really good job of keeping the piste in great condition. So yeah, it's all good. So the trick, I think, is because even though it's been slightly warm, the thing is if your resort freezes overnight, you're all good. And that's what's been happening here. So I'm just off for a bit of a ski this morning with my daughter. We're going to quick bit of a ski about, go to Cookie Cafe, have a milkshake or something, and yeah, just make the most of it, right? If there's snow on the ground, we're going skiing. So yeah, I hope Santa brings you everything you want. I hope you get some nice new skis or boots or something. And I wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. See you. Bye.
Right, let's stay in the Porte du Soleil, but take a short hop over the border into France, where Al Judge, owner of the excellent Alikats chalet company in Morzine, sent us this.
Hello, Iain, from a bright and beautiful Morzine here in the Port du Soleil. It's really crisp and cold and the sun is out. Classic early season alpine magic. So my snow report, Avoriaz is regularly in the top few snowiest resorts in France. So it's got a lot to live up to. And so far, it hasn't disappointed this winter. The coverage across the Port du Soleil is really good for this time of year, and there's a good solid base. There isn't any snow coming in the next few days, but it is going to get colder and the sun is going to be out. And let's face it, blue skies are what people really love about skiing when they're out in the mountains. So things are looking good for Christmas and New Year. I've seen some of our guests who are staying in our Alikats chalets over the last few days, and they've also been really pleased with the snow. I hope you have a great Christmas. Keep up the good work with the Ski Podcast, and we'll see you in 2026, hopefully.
Moving further south, here's a voice that very long-term listeners to the show will recognise, my former co-presenter Jim Duncombe, who sent us this report from his hometown of Clusaz.
Jim Duncombe here, reporting from the Aravis, aka Clusaz and the Grand Banon. The good news is you can ski here. There is snow, but there are some issues. November's good snow has receded with the warm temperatures, and it's been like 3 seasons in 1 month. Sunny and well-used slopes are starting to look brown, which is quite sad, and there's been some surprising piste closures. The links from Manigot to Clusaz are closed, as well as the run down from the Beauregard. People are being advised to catch the gondola down, and the home run back into the Grand Banon is non-existent and is looking unlikely to open anytime soon. There's not a lot of great off-piste, but if you look for it, you will find it. If you have your holiday booked for the next few weeks, here is where the best snow is. I would recommend going to L'Étal in Clusaz, which is often quieter, less skied, so therefore the piste will be in better shape. The high area from mid-station from the Barm is also well worth skiing, and you should find some nice pistes, as well as some opportunity to do some, it'll be tracked, but good side country. And then if you're going to go to Grand Banon, I would stick to the Marly Valley, which is notoriously good at keeping snow, as well as the team there make excellent piste. So you will enjoy that skiing too. Cold temperatures on the way. Let's hope they can make some more snow. And Happy New Year. Happy Christmas.
And just on the other side of the Aravis range, regular guest Betony Garner sent us this report from St Gervais.
Hi Iain, it's Betony sending you a snow report from St Gervais, which is in the Haute-Savoie in the northern French Alps. So I've just come down from the mountain. I've been skiing there the last 4 days. We're still seeing on snow that we had fall at the end of November, start of December. And thank goodness it was such a big dump, because that has sustained us all the way through to now. What are conditions like? So the higher you go, the better they are. We've got a few brown patches appearing lower down, particularly on the south-facing slopes. And unfortunately, the last few days, we've had a firn wind. So it's been kind of a warm wind on this side of Mont Blanc. And it means that some of our snow has deteriorated quicker than we would hope. The good news in one way is that we have got colder temperatures coming. So the back end of the weekend, we'll see temperatures drop, which means the resorts will start to be able to make snow again, which will make a huge difference for people heading out for the New Year week. There's no snow, as far as I can see, in the forecast for the next week or so, but fingers crossed it comes as January progresses. So yeah, anyone heading out for New Year week, plenty of pistes open. I've been up there and had really good fun the last few days. And yes, we all need to do a snow dance for the new year. So thanks again, Iain, for having me on the podcast so often this year. And I hope everyone has a great end of year and a great rest of the season. Cheers, bye.
Moving into the big resorts of the Tarentaise, let's listen to regular reporters Jen Sang from That's La Plagne, Alex Irwin from the YouTube channel 150 Days of Winter in Courchevel, and first-timer Nicholas from Freeride Republic in Meribel.
Hello Iain and the Ski Podcast. It's such a pleasure to be back in your ears again from the slopes of La Plagne. This is Jen from That's La Plagne, and I am halfway down the Capella slope on the way into Plagne Centre to tell you all about the snow and the ski conditions here in resort. Well, it's been a fantastic start to the season. I have been fortunate enough to get out every single day that the lifts have been open so far, including some early dawn hikes for sunrise, and it has been fantastic. The early snowfalls that we had in November were incredible and have really set us up for a nice opening week, which was super quiet in resort. I expected it to be busier after that snowfall, but it really wasn't. Then this Christmas week, of course, much busier, feeling very festive in resort. Lots of children in ski schools, lots of people around the resort. But the slopes are still feeling really great. The snow conditions are good. Up high, it's feeling very hard pack and nicely groomed. Lower down, it's definitely starting to turn a little slushier later in the day with warmer temperatures. But it is still all open, still skiable, still a lot quieter lower down as well. So if you are looking for empty slopes in peak season, the extremities of the piste map are where to head, and the lower slopes in La Plagne are where you'll find those quiet slopes. Other than that, we don't seem to have any snow arriving on the forecast as yet, although the temperature is dropping over the end of this week. So fingers crossed that we might see something. But either way, we are definitely in for a white Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Iain, and all of your listeners. This has been Jen signing out from La Plagne. I'll see you on the slope soon.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all round the Alps not a creature was stirring, except for a fleet of peace bashers that are working overtime to keep the peace in Courchevel immaculate. With no fresh snow for over 2 weeks, the existing snow has been holding up very well thanks to a quiet low-season period. If I need to make a prediction for 2026, there will be fresh snow, deep powder, and great memories, and I wish you the same. However you celebrate this period, have a good one.
Here's the Free Ride Republic Snow Report for Meribel Monterey, your rider-led intel for the week ahead. The weather has been sunny and mild for most of the last 2 weeks with no significant snow. Depths range from 125 centimetres on the highest peaks to around 30 centimetres in resort. It's not currently possible to ski from the Padillac mid-station into Monterey, and the only route into Meribel Centre from Celia is via the Doron piste. If that sounds gloomy, don't worry. 53 out of the 72 pistes are open and are in really good condition. It's more of a mixed bag off-piste. There's fun to be had, but go steady, consider the risks, and don't charge into anything. If blue skies, sun, and mild temperatures are on your Christmas wish list, then you're in luck. Santa may just bring an overnight dusting of snow on Christmas Eve, but otherwise, things are unlikely to change much until the new year. There's little to suggest the avalanche danger scale will rise above moderate in the coming days, but be sure to check the daily bulletin before heading off-piste and, as always, ride with your transceiver, shovel, and probe. We think the most fun on or off-piste next week will be found at higher altitudes. Head for the Mont Volant or the Côte Brune, where you can scope your line from the warmth of the new high-speed gondola. For more mountain intel, head to freeriderepublic.com. Ride safe, ride kind.
And finally, let's move to the southern French Alps, where Alex Armand from Tip Top Ski Coaching gives us the latest news from Les Alpes, and a voice many listeners will know. The dulcet Welsh tones of regular guest Mike Richards tells us about the conditions in Pralou.
Hi, this is Alex from Tip Top Ski Coaching here in Les Alpes with the latest snow reports. So we've had snow over the last few days. So the top piece between 3,600 and 2,600 are absolutely fantastic. They're soft, fresh snow on the top. As you come down the mountain, the pieces are a little bit firmer, although it has snowed down here a little bit. We're still skiing all the way down to resort, and the nursery slopes are still open and well prepared in resort.
Good evening, Iain. It's Mike the Snow Richards reporting in from Pralou in the southern French Alps. A new ski area for me, my 161st, but it's gone straight into my top 50, at least. Christmas has come early for our group of 19 students and 3 teachers from Merthyr in South Wales. We arrived into Turin Airport on Saturday the 13th of December, and despite warnings of possible delays due to the new EES entry regulations, we were through passport control in minutes and on our way to resort in no time. Our accommodation for the week has been the wonderful ski-in, ski-out Le Loup Blanc. A very warm welcome from all the staff, a varied and delicious full board menu, and warm, clean, comfortable accommodations. What more do you need? Well, snow. And thankfully, Pralou had opened a week earlier than planned after solid early snowfall. And for our first 2 days of skiing on the Sunday and Monday, we had glorious sunshine, no wind, and perfect piste conditions. The off-piste was crunchy where the sun had gotten to it, but there was still plenty of untracked soft snow in the trees and on the north-facing slopes. Not deep, but velvet smooth. And it was just the 3 equity schools groups and a few locals on the slopes. We didn't queue for a lift all week. Then the heavens opened on the Tuesday, and we'd received 15 to 20 centimetres of Hokkaido-esque light powder throughout the day. The tree-lined runs provided excellent visibility during this storm, and Pralu is a solid choice for above and below tree-line skiing. The sun returned on Wednesday and Thursday, and we enjoyed perfect piste conditions all over the resort. I had a chance to explore some of the lift access off-piste terrain, and it was fabulous. Smooth, light, boot-top powder, which stayed untracked all day. It was snowing up top as we left resort on Friday morning, with 10 to 20 centimetres of new snow and below freezing temperatures forecast through to the new year. Pralu is a sleeping giant, and I can't wait to share more information with your listeners on an upcoming episode. Until then, Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year, and may all your turns be deep and crisp and even.
So hopefully you found that roundup interesting. Even if you're not travelling this Christmas or New Year, maybe it's got you in the mood for your next trip. Now, if you have enjoyed this episode, or even if you didn't like it, I would love to know. You can leave a comment on Spotify, Instagram or Facebook. Our handle is @TheSkiPodcast, or you can drop me an email to theskipodcast@gmail.com. There was so much feedback from the listener survey. I really appreciate all of those comments. There's simply too many to share here right now. But there has been one extra piece of feedback since the last episode, and that was from Matt Hayes. He said, episode 267 was great. I appreciate all the work that goes into these. Matt also asked that we do the Olympic specials I mentioned. He says, there's a real lack of content during the Winter Olympics, and I'm sure there will be many searching for the latest news and insights. Well, Matt, I'm still working on that plan, and I hope to have something in place by the time the games come around. Now, you can follow us on WhatsApp for exclusive material released ahead of the podcast. Look in the show notes for that link. There are now 287 episodes of the podcast to catch up with. When I looked this morning, the stats say that 174 of those were listened to in the last week alone, including 2 listens of our very first episode recorded with Jim over 8 years ago in October 2017. Now, personally, I'm not so sure about the quality of those very early episodes, but I'm delighted to see that some of you are listening to them. There is so much in our back catalogue, and if you'd like to get some insight on a particular destination or latest kit, just go to theskipodcast.com. Have a search around the tags and categories, and you're bound to find something of interest to you. I can also tell you that in the last week, around 50% of our listeners are in the UK, 24% in the States, and everyone else spread as far and wide as Thailand, Costa Rica, and Bermuda. If you'd like to help the Ski Podcast, there are 3 things you can do. You can follow us or subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can give us a review on Apple Podcasts or leave us a comment on Spotify. And if you're booking a ski hire this winter, don't forget you can get an additional discount if you use the code SKIPODCAST when you book at insportrent.com. There's a link in the show notes. You can just click on that and your discount will automatically be applied. Right, for now, I would like to thank all of our snow reporters who contributed to this week's episode, everybody who completed our listener survey, and for all of the kind comments about my injury via social media, WhatsApp and email. I'd like to thank everybody who supported the Ski Podcast in the last year and wish you a wonderful festive season and a happy new year. We will be back next Friday for our first episode of 2026. Finally, listener, thank you for joining us wherever in the world you're listening right now. And until next time, goodbye.